Think about the last time someone let you down. Maybe a friend canceled on you at the last minute. Maybe your partner forgot something that really mattered to you. Maybe a coworker took credit for your work and you just sat there, grinding your teeth, replaying it over and over in your head. You spent the rest of the day rehearsing what you should have said, building a case in your mind, feeling the frustration tighten in your chest. And for what? Nothing changed. They didn't change. The only thing that happened is you lost your entire evening to someone else's choices. Now, what if I told you that there are 2 words, just 2, that could have saved you all that pain? 2 words that could change the way you deal with every difficult and every frustrating situation. Those 2 words are let them. That is the core of Mel Robbins' book, The Let Them Theory. Robbins is one of the most listened to voices in personal development today. Her podcast pulls in millions of listeners every week. Her previous book, The 5-Second Rule, became a worldwide bestseller, and she has spent over a decade studying what actually helps people stop feeling stuck and start taking control of their lives. But this book, this one, feels different. It is not about pushing harder. It is not about grinding through resistance. It is the opposite. It is about the quiet, radical act of letting go of what you were never meant to carry in the first place. The big idea is this. You are exhausting yourself trying to manage other people, and it is stealing your energy, your peace, and your ability to build the life you actually want. And the solution is not just to let other people be who they are. That is only half the equation. The second half, the part most people miss, is where your real power lives. We will get there. But first, you need to understand the trap you have been stuck in, probably for most of your life. Here is the simplest way to think about it. Imagine you are standing in a river and the water is rushing past you. The water represents everything in your life that you cannot control. Other people's opinions, their decisions, their moods, their reactions. Now, most of us are standing in that river with our arms stretched wide, trying to stop the water, trying to redirect it, trying to force it to go where we want. And what happens? We get exhausted. We get knocked down. We swallow water. Meanwhile, the river does not care. It just keeps flowing. The let them theory says, drop your arms, step to the side, let the water go. Because the moment you stop fighting the current, you suddenly have the strength to walk to shore and build something solid on dry ground. That is the shift. And it sounds simple. But when you start to see how deeply the need for control runs through your daily life, it becomes clear why most people feel so drained all the time. Think about it this way. You wake up in the morning and before your feet even hit the floor, you are already managing people. You are thinking about what your boss might say in that meeting. You are worrying about whether your teenager is making the right choices. You are rehearsing a conversation with a friend who has been acting distant. You are checking social media and comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel, feeling a tight knot in your stomach that you cannot quite name. And none of these things are about you. They are about other people. But you are the one carrying all the weight. Robbins calls this the control trap. And it is everywhere. It shows up when you give someone advice and feel frustrated because they did not take it. It shows up when you bend over backward for a coworker, hoping they will finally respect you. It shows up when you keep trying to say just the right thing to make someone understand your feelings. And every single time you walk away more tired, more resentful, and further from the peace you were looking for. The first real insight in the book is understanding that the desire to control others is not a strength. It is a stress response. Your brain is wired to seek certainty. When someone around you behaves in a way that feels unpredictable or threatening, your nervous system fires up. It floods you with cortisol. It pushes you into fight mode. And in that state, your instinct is to fix, manage, convince, or control the situation. But here's the catch. You are spending real biological energy, real mental bandwidth, on something that has a 0% success rate. You cannot make another person think what you want them to think. You cannot force someone to value what you value. And the harder you try, the more drained you become. Robbins puts it plainly. Every minute you spend trying to control what someone else does is a minute stolen from your own life. The second insight is what she calls the freedom in letting go, and it is deeply counterintuitive. Most people hear "let them" and think it means giving up, that it means you stop caring. But that is not what it means at all. It means you stop spending your energy on a battle you were never going to win. And when you do that, something surprising happens. You feel lighter. Not because the situation changed, but because you stopped volunteering to carry someone else's weight. Picture this. Your friend keeps canceling plans with you every time you feel a sting. You start to wonder what you did wrong. You replay your last conversation, looking for clues. You text them a careful message, trying to figure out what is going on. And now, your whole afternoon is gone, consumed by their decision. But what if instead you just said, "Let them"? Let them cancel. That is their choice. And then you asked yourself a different question. What do I want to do with my afternoon now? That is where your power actually lives. And this leads to the third insight, which Robbins describes as the filter effect. When you stop chasing people, when you stop performing for their approval, when you let them show you who they really are through their actions, something powerful starts to happen. The people who were never truly invested in you begin to drift away. And the ones who genuinely care, who show up without being begged, who choose you without conditions, they become visible. You can finally see them clearly because you stopped wasting your attention on the wrong people. It is not that "let them" pushes people away. It reveals who was already gone and who was always there. But here is where it gets really interesting, because everything we have talked about so far is only the first half of the theory, and Robbins is very clear about this. If all you do is say "let them" over and over, you will end up feeling disconnected and passive. The real power, the part that actually transforms your life, comes from two completely different words, and those words change everything. Those two words are "let me." And this is the part of the book that separates it from every other self-help idea you have ever heard about letting go. Because Robbins is brutally honest about something most people miss. If you only ever say "let them," if you only practice stepping back and releasing control, you will eventually feel empty. You will feel like you are floating through life without direction, watching everything happen around you, but never actually doing anything about it. You might even start to feel superior, judging other people from a distance while your own life stays exactly the same. Robbins warns that saying "let them" without following it with "let me" is like opening a door and just standing in the doorway. You freed yourself from one room, but you never actually walked into the next one. And that next room is where everything changes. The fourth insight in the book is one that hit me hard, and I think it will hit you too. Robbins argues that our need to control other people is almost never really about them. It is about us. It is about our own fear, our own insecurity, our own unresolved pain that we have not wanted to look at. Think about it honestly. When you get angry because your partner does not respond to your text fast enough, is that really about their texting habits? Or is it about a deeper fear that you are not important enough to prioritize? When you obsess over what a coworker said about you in a meeting, is it really about their words? Or is it about a wound you have been carrying since childhood, a feeling that you have to earn your right to be in the room? Robbins says that the moment you catch yourself trying to control someone else, that is your signal to look inward, not at them, at you. Because the frustration you feel is almost always a mirror. It is reflecting something inside you that needs attention, not something outside you that needs fixing. And that is exactly where "let me" comes in. This is the fifth insight, and it is the heart of the entire book. "Let me" is the moment you take all the energy you were wasting on other people and you redirect it back toward yourself. It is not cold. It is the most responsible thing you can do. Because when you say "let me," you're asking yourself the only question that actually matters. What am I going to do now? Not, What should they do? Not, what do I wish they would do? What am I going to do? Let them cancel on you, and then let me call someone who actually me. Let them micromanage you at work, and then let me focus on doing excellent work and building my own. Let them judge your choices, and then let me keep building the life I believe in. Do you see the shift? Let them frees you. Let me empowers you. One without the other is incomplete. Together, they form a complete system for taking your life back. Now, there is a question that comes up constantly when people talk about this book, and I want to address it directly because you might be thinking it right now. Does let them mean I should just be passive? Does it mean I should accept bad behavior and never stand up for myself? And the answer is no. Absolutely not. Robbins is clear that let them is not about tolerating abuse, ignoring injustice, or pretending that boundaries do not matter. It is about recognizing the difference between what you can control and what you cannot. You cannot control whether someone respects you, but you can control whether you stay in a relationship where respect does not exist. You cannot control whether your boss values your contribution, but you can control whether you keep working for someone who refuses to see your worth. Let them is not passive. It is the opposite. It is a decision. It is the most active, intentional choice you can make, because it forces you to stop wasting energy on battles you will never win and start investing that energy in the one person you can actually change, yourself. And that right there is what makes this book land differently than anything else you have. It is not just philosophy. It is not just a mantra you repeat when you are frustrated. It is a complete shift in where you direct your attention, your time, and your emotional energy. Before this book, you probably thought that caring about someone meant trying to fix them, guide them, or protect them from their own choices. You probably thought that letting go meant giving up. But now you know the truth. Letting go is not the end of caring. It is the beginning of self-respect. It is the moment you stop abandoning yourself to manage someone else's life. Robbins discovered this idea in one of the most ordinary moments imaginable, standing in the rain watching her teenage son head off to prom with no dinner reservation, no corsage, and a plan to eat tacos in a downpour. Her daughter looked at her and said, "Mom, it is his prom, not yours. Let them." And in that small, almost silly moment, something cracked open. She realized she had been spending decades doing the same thing in every area of her life, gripping the steering wheel of other people's decisions and wondering why she felt so tired all the time. And when she finally let go, what I want you to take away, something the summary alone cannot. The book is filled with exercises, real stories from Mel's own marriage, her friendships, her career, her struggles with anxiety. And they add layers of depth that a 10-minute conversation can only point toward. If this resonated with you, the link to grab your own copy is in the comments below. Some books deserve more than a summary. They deserve to be lived with for a while. But here is the one thing I want to leave you with, and I want you to really sit with this. Every single day, you are making a choice. You are either spending your energy trying to control what other people think, say, and do, or you are investing that energy in building the life you actually want. You cannot do both. And the moment you truly understand that, 2 words become the most powerful sentence you will ever say. Let them. And then, quietly to yourself, let me.